Good afternoon, everyone. I, Professor Shruti Dale, Assistant Professor from Department of Computer Science and Engineering, here at MITNR Badnera, welcome you all to the second session of Day 3 of AICTE ISE approved 1-week online short-term training program on research and publication ethics. In association with Research Promotion Cell, here at MITNR Badnera, Amravati, and Computer Society of India, Amravati chapter. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our today's distinguished speaker, Dr. Mohan Rambhav Khede sir, who is presenting on academic integrity in research and publication. Dr. M.R. Khede sir completed his BSc from RSTM Nagpur University in 1983. He completed his master's degree MSc from Sant Gadge Baba Amravati University in the year 1985. He obtained his PhD from Sant Gadge Baba Amravati University in the year 2002. He also possesses Bachelor of Library Science from SJBAU Amravati University and Master of Library Science from Nagpur University in the year 1988 and 1989 respectively. Dr. Khede is working as a director at Knowledge Resource Center at Sant Gadge Baba Amravati University since 2008. He has got 14 years of teaching experience and 19 years as a college librarian as a director, Knowledge Resource Center. He was ex-course coordinator for library science courses such as BLISC, Master of Library Science and MPhil at Yashwantrao Chauhan Maharashtra Open University, Nashik, running at Matoshri Bimlabai Deshmukh Mahavidyalaya, Amravati. He also works in editorial board of journals, Journal of Indian Library Association, Research Board at Gyana Gangotri. Sir has also published 2 books as an author, 2 conference proceedings as an editor with 19 research articles in journals, 9 articles in the book, 22 conference papers, including 13 at state, regional level, 6 at national, and 3 at international level. More than 40 times, Sir has a participation as a resource person other than seminar and conference. 50 plus number of speeches in workshop, seminar, conferences, and 50 plus attended workshop, seminar, and conferences as a guest. Sir has supervised number of PhD students, out of which 6 students have been awarded degree, 1 has submitted, and 8 students are in process. Other than PhD, Sir has also supervised 4 MPhil dissertations, 43 Master of Library Science dissertations, and 93 Bachelor of Library Science projects. Now, I would like to request Dr. M.R. Khede sir to please start today's session.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, madam. Madam, I am sharing my PPT.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, it is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes. Shall I start?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Good afternoon, all of you. This is a second session, I think third day and second session of this 1-week short-term training program organized by Department of Computer and Engineering and Research Promotion Cell of Professor Ram Meghe Institute of Technology and Research, Badnera. First of all, I must say thanks to organizer for giving me opportunity to put my views before you on this topic, that is academic integrity in research and publication. Actually, it is very burning topic in this situation, because you know all the policy of government, particularly University Grant Commission and AICTE. It is now compulsory for faculty members to go for research and publish their research in the form of thesis, books, or journals. So when I'm talking about this academic integrity in research and publication, so first we see what exactly academic integrity is. Friends, you know all, we should be honest about your intellectual work, our research work, our research activity. And we must trust on our intellectual part. So considering this, the third definition, it is given by University Grant Commission, says that it is the intellectual honesty in proposing, performing, and reporting any activity which leads to the creation of intellectual property. This is the concept of academic integrity. So far as academic dishonesty is concerned, it includes cheating, fabrication, falsification, misuse of resources, academic misconduct, and plagiarism. These parts are there. So in this particular session, I'd like to put my views on academic integrity, or you can say plagiarism. So what plagiarism is? Plagiarism is nothing but it is a piece of writing that has been copied from someone else and is presented as being your own work. If suppose I am taking a particular paragraph from the article, someone else's articles, which already been published, and this paragraph, when I am using in my article without giving any kind of credit to that person, it can be said as plagiarism. Plagiarism is using someone's idea, not giving them proper credit for it, not cut and paste, not only taking paragraph, taking sentences from somebody else's article and using in our article. But apart from that, besides it, when we are using someone's idea in our journal article, in our research paper, in that case also, it is a plagiarism. You can take idea, you can use idea of somebody else, but you have to give proper credit to that person. That is plagiarism. Plagiarism is the term used to describe the misuse of authorship. Friends, that is 101% plagiarism. Suppose I'm just downloading a particular article from internet, or just downloaded article from a database and rub the name of that author from that article and put my name there. And now I'm presenting it in the conference and try to publish it in conference proceeding. It is 101% plagiarism. So overall, cutting and pasting of one sentence, two sentence, more than one paragraph like this, comes under plagiarism. When you are using ideas of somebody else without giving a proper credit to that person, it is also a plagiarism. And misuse of authorship, just I quoted one example of misuse of authorship. We cannot do like this. All these activities come under plagiarism. That is academic dishonesty. Therefore, when we are talking about academic integrity, and we must honest on our work, research work, our research and publication work. So some other definitions also there. We need not to talk about it because the meaning of all definitions are same. So self-plagiarism is another part. Means plagiarism is one thing and self-plagiarism is another thing. What is that self-plagiarism? It is a type of plagiarism in which the writer republishes a work in its entirety or uses portions of a previously written text while authoring a new work. Suppose my article is already published in conference proceeding. I have presented it and it is being published in conference proceeding. Then again, when I am trying to send this same article for publication, in a journal, we cannot do like this. Though it is my own article, even though I cannot republish it. Another thing, even I cannot take a small portion, small part of my previously published article in my new article without giving credit to me, though it is my own work. So this self-plagiarism concept is very much clear. University Grant Commission published one later on 20th April 2020. In that case, that UGC has given which part will be considered as a self-plagiarism. Number one, republishing the same paper already published elsewhere without due and full citation. Means, I just discussed on that. I cannot send the article for publication if it is already been published somewhere else. That is one part. Second part, publishing smaller work from a longer and previous without due and full citations in order to show a larger number of publications. Suppose my article is already been published and I want to publish some part of that article, that published article, in my new article to show that I have more publications. I cannot do like this without giving credit to me. Using data already used in a published work or communicated for publication in another work without due and full citation. Means if suppose your article already published in a journal, the data used to develop this article means already published article, if the data you have used in that article, the same data you cannot use in your new article. Even you cannot send it for publication. Yes, you cannot communicate also. That is also self-plagiarism. Breaking up a longer and larger study into smaller sections and publishing them as altogether new work without due and full citation. Again, if your article is already published and in that article you have used large data and now you have to break this data, and on every breaking data, on every part, now you are going to publish new article. On the basis of that data, part of data, you are suppose trying to publish new article. It will come under self-plagiarism. So that is also a self-plagiarism part. And paraphrasing one's own previously published work without due and full citation of the original. Even you cannot paraphrase anything which is already published in your article. It means that all this part come under self-plagiarism. Means University Grant Commission make it clear for which point we can say self-plagiarism. All these are given same words are given in the letter of University Grant Commission published on 20th April 2020. Yes, that is self-plagiarism. Now, we have plagiarism. We have to prevent the plagiarism. We have to stop the plagiarism. We are not interested. We are not interested in doing plagiarism. We have to stop it. But what happened? Many times we are not aware that what we are doing, it is plagiarism. That's why we must know what are the ways of plagiarism, how we can plagiarize the matter. Or we are also, many of the teachers, faculty members, just attending this small short-term program. Many of faculty may be also a supervisor. So being a supervisor, we must know that what student is doing, whether it is plagiarism or not. That's why we must know ways of plagiarism. Now, there are two types of ways: unintentional plagiarism and intentional plagiarism. Means when we are not aware about what we are doing, it is plagiarism that comes under unintentional plagiarism. And when we know that what I am doing, it is come under plagiarism, even though I am doing that activity. That means it is intentional plagiarism. Just see what are unintentional plagiarism. Now, when unintentional plagiarisms are there, in that case, three parts are there. Number one, paraphrasing poorly. What is it? Changing a few words without changing the sentence structure of the original, or changing the sentence structure but not the word. Now, suppose I'm just cutting one paragraph from another article and pasting in my own article. I know when it is 100%, I just cut and paste and use as it is 100% plagiarism. I know it. But I may not be aware that what I am doing, that is plagiarism. What I am doing now, these paragraphs, whatever sentence are there, I just keep as it is. Only the words are changed. I'm changing words only. Means I am using now synonymous terminology for that words. And after changing that words, I am using that paragraph. That is paraphrasing poorly. Or I'm not disturbing the words in that paragraph, but I am changing the structure of the sentence. Even though I am changing the structure of sentence without changing the words, it is paraphrasing poorly. Because in this case, I know that whatever I am taking from that article, it is not, I'm not taking as it is, I'm paraphrasing it. But when you are paraphrasing it, that means you are taking idea of that article. Therefore, it comes under paraphrasing poorly. I just quote one example for that. Now, this is a paragraph. Suppose this is a paragraph. I just cut it from somebody else's article and paste like this in my article. Now, you just compare these two paragraphs. Sentences are same. I have not disturbed the structure of sentence, but I just changed the words. I am using synonymous terms. Instead of group in first paragraph, in second paragraph, I am using a word set. Yes, all these are, instead of ensure, in last line of first paragraph, ensure word is there. Instead of that ensure, in my paragraph, in second paragraph, I am using the word make sure. What happened? I'm not disturbing. I have not disturbed the sentence structure of the sentence, but I am using here synonymous terms. And this way, it is come under paraphrasing poorly. Same paragraph, another example, same paragraph, I just cut it from somebody else, and this cutting paragraph, I just paste in this way in my article. What I did here, I changed the structure of the sentence. I now change. I'm not going to change here the words. I have changed the structure of the sentence, but meaning of both the paragraph is same. And that comes under paraphrasing poorly. Means when you are paraphrasing that part, even though you are paraphrasing in this way, suppose your first paragraph is from your own article which is already published, and you are using this paragraph in your new article with changing the structure or with changing the words and using in your new article, it is also a paraphrasing poorly, but it is self-plagiarism. Yes, that is nothing but self-plagiarism. Many of them are not aware about that. What you are doing, that is a come under plagiarism. So that's why it is a self-plagiarism. Now, second is quoting poorly. Now, quoting poorly means what? Friends, you know, we generally use inverted comma and double inverted comma in our text. When we should use single inverted comma and when we should use double inverted comma, we should be aware about this. When we have to put certain definition, when we have to put certain meaning, when you have to put certain law, rule, theorem, statement of theorem, in that case, we have to use it in single inverted comma. We have to put this theorem, this law, rule, definition in single inverted comma. But if you are using somebody's statement in your research, in your thesis or in your research article, then that statement we should put in double inverted comma. Yes. Now, if we just forget to put a single inverted comma or double inverted comma, it will come under plagiarism. Or if you are wrongly used that single inverted comma, double inverted comma, you have placed this single inverted comma at wrongly placed this single inverted comma in the statement. In that case also it comes under plagiarism. That is under plagiarism. We just say we should see one example for that. Now, these two statements are there. These are statement. A few heart-whole, sincere, and energetic men and women can do more in a year than a mob in a century. This is a statement of somebody. And that's why we use here double inverted comma. Now, this statement, which is given in black, yes, black color, you just cut it from somebody else's article and put in my article, which is given in red color. Now, what is the difference between these two? I can cut it. I paste it, but I have started that double inverted comma from a word A, but I stop it after the word year. Means it is I have wrongly placed that double inverted comma, and that's why it comes under unintentional plagiarism. That's quoting poorly. Even though you cannot paraphrase the statement of somebody. The same statement, I just quoting same example, same statement. I just use this statement in my research paper like this, that is a few devoted, sincere, interested, energetic men. I used here word devoted. That devoted word is not in the first statement. I just using that devoted word here, means I am going to paraphrasing that particular statement. I have given is correctly in double inverted comma, no doubt. Place of double inverted comma is correct, but I have paraphrased it in my own language. We cannot do it because it is a statement. We cannot change the statement of somebody else. If you have to use the statement in your research paper, you have to take as it is with some citations. That comes under quoting poorly. That is unintentional plagiarism. And third is citing poorly. Citing poorly means omitting an occasional citation or citing inaccurately. This problem generally not seen in science and technology, because engineering faculties use generally IEEE standard for giving references, for giving citations. This part generally observed in commerce, arts, and social science faculty. In science and engineering technology, this part is not there. So, but even though when you are appending references at the end of the article or at the end of the chapter of the thesis, it should be properly placed. You must use certain standard, IEEE, APA, MLA, so many standards are there. You can use any one of it and append your references at the end of your research paper or your chapter of your thesis correctly and properly. So it comes under unintentional plagiarism. So far as the intentional plagiarism is concerned, because what I am doing, I know it is plagiarism. What I am doing, it is not correct. It is my wrong step, even though I am doing all these things. That is intentional plagiarism. That is passing up as one's own pre-written paper from the internet or other sources. Yes, then copying an essay or article from the internet, online source or electronic database without quoting or giving credit. We already discussed like this. You cannot take another others article, and you cannot send same article on your own name. That you can do like this. That is intentional plagiarism. Cutting and pasting. Cutting and pasting another part. What happened in conferences? Generally, we observe that if conference is declared, today is conference is declared, and after 15 days, suppose last date of submission of research paper is there, even though the organizer get many papers for presenting it in the conference or in publishing in the conference proceeding. If you just see the study says that Garfield studies there. Study says that he did that study in 1965. What was that study? His study was when a concept come in the mind. If the concept come in the mind of researcher, that now I have to write article on a particular topic. From that point to publication of that article in the journal, it takes minimum 1.5 years. Means writing a article and presenting, writing article and publishing it in the journal. For this activity, it required 1.5 years for single article. Okay, now in 1965, internet was not there. Today, internet facility is there. Many facilities are there. Then in that case, we can say that within 6 months, we can write a good article. But friends, good article cannot be written in a 1 day or 2 days or 1 month. It takes certain time. So that part should be there. Borrowing words or ideas from other researcher or a source without giving credit. Yes, that is also we have discussed that when you are taking words, you cannot take words, you cannot take ideas without giving particular credit to that person. It comes under intentional plagiarism. Now these are types of plagiarism. Copy and paste plagiarism, word switch plagiarism, style plagiarism, metaphor plagiarism, idea plagiarism. All these types we have already discussed till date. Yes. Then exclusion from plagiarism. When what part is excluded? Now I just come towards the regulation of University Grant Commission. On 31st July 2018, University Grant Commission published regulation of academic integrity 2018 in Gazette of India. In that regulation, University Grant Commission mentioned what is excluded from the plagiarism. All quoted work reproduced with all necessary permission and or attribution. Any kind of statement, any kind of quotations, any kind of definition, laws, if you are using in your article, that is they are not you are taking it from other articles and using in your article with a particular permission of that person, or you can say with citation. If citations are there, then don't bother about it. It will not come under plagiarism. All references, bibliography, table of content, preface, and acknowledgement. So far as thesis is concerned, in thesis, we use table of content. Yes, whatever you are writing table of content, it will not come under plagiarism. Preface, acknowledgement, this part also excluded from the checking of plagiarism. And references and bibliography, all this part will not check, means it is excluded from the plagiarism. All generic terms, laws, standard symbols, standard equations, because in engineering, you generally use standard equations and standard symbols. If you are using standard equations, standard symbols from somebody else's article, somebody else's publication, you need not to bother about it. You need not to give any kind of citation to it. Yes, without citation, it is excluded from plagiarism. Common language or coincidental term up to 14 words. Any kind of common language. Yes, common statement is there that everyone knows. There is no need of citation, but the length of that sentence should not be more than 14 words. If it is more than 14 words, if common language is there, mean common fact. Yes, common fact is there. In that case, you need not to bother about it. You need not to give citation if the length of the sentence is less than 14 words. But if it is more than 14 words, in that case, you have to give citation. Otherwise, it comes under the plagiarism. What is common language? That you already know it. It means well-known fact, quote, figures, or information that is known to most of the people. Common people know it. Yes, what are that statement? What is the information? That information is know everybody. But this information you have to put in within 14 words. Yes, otherwise you have to give citations. What is expected? When research and publication is there, when we are talking about the ethics of research and publication, what is the expectation? Expectation is that so far as thesis is there, in thesis, in generally in your article also, if you must write, you must use your own idea. In thesis or in article, in publication, you must use your own original idea. That is expecting. Now, in abstract, in summary, in hypothesis, in observations, in results, in conclusions, and in recommendations, there should not be any kind of plagiarism. All this should be in your own language. That is expectation. Because abstract means when you are writing an article, for every article, you have to write their abstract. That abstract should be plagiarism free. Summary, when you are submitting your thesis, before submitting the thesis, you have to submit a summary of your thesis with 2000 to 2500 words. This summary should be plagiarism free. You are formulating hypothesis in your thesis, in your research work. This statement, this hypothesis should be plagiarism free. Your observations after collecting data, you are analyzing this data, and you are putting that data in the text form. That text form is your observation. In that observation means the chapter of analysis in thesis, there should not be plagiarism, because it is expected that observations or analysis of your data, it should be in your own language. And on the basis of that observation, on the basis of that analysis, you come across the result of the plagiarism, result of your thesis, result of your topic, conclusion of your topic, recommendation on a topic. This result and conclusion should be plagiarism free. It should be in your own language. That's why the last chapter of your thesis, that is conclusion or recommendation, it should be plagiarism free. On the basis of result, means on the basis of your observation, on the basis of your analysis, you have to go for result, you have to go for conclusion. And on the basis of conclusion, on the basis of result, you have to provide some recommendations. And this recommendation should be in your own language. There should not be any kind of plagiarism. Even you cannot use their references because it is your own language, it is your own idea. In that case, there is no need of references, there is need of citations. It should be in your own language. That is expectation. What is penalty for that? Again, I'm moving towards the Academic Integrity Regulation 2018 of University Grant Commission. They have mentioned some penalties on plagiarism. What are the penalties? So far as thesis and dissertations are there, that is the penalties. Now, level 0. Level 0 means if in your thesis 10% plagiarism is there, below 10%, below 10%, 10%, below 10% plagiarism is there, or you can say similarity. You can see it as similarity. Then there is no problem. It is acceptable. Yes, means if 10% plagiarism is there, don't bother about it. Because 0% plagiarism generally not occurs. So that's why 10% plagiarism is acceptable. But if it is above 10 and below 40, in that case, university may ask you to revise your thesis, revise your manuscript, and submit it within the period of 6 months. If you are in your thesis, in your manuscript of the thesis, in draft part of thesis, if suppose 40 to 60% plagiarism is there, in that case, university may ask you to revise it and put it within the period of 1 year. But if it is above 60%, what will happen? Your registration may be cancelled. So mind well, before submitting your thesis, submit it to the Knowledge Center of the university and check it first. If it is below 10%, then submit the thesis to the university. Otherwise, don't submit the thesis. Then suppose after awarding the degree, PhD degree or MPhil degree, after some year, suppose anybody complained against you. In that case also what will happen? Unless and until you are not prove you're guilty, in that case you will suppose, for example, complaint is there, and if you found guilty in that particular case, your degree may be cancelled. University may cancel your degree. And if your degree is cancelled, you have to return back your degree to the university. In that case, suppose on the basis of that degree, if you are giving certain promotions, if you get certain promotion, if you get certain job, it will be hampered. So take care about it. So far as research publications are there, same part is there. Even when you are sending articles to journal for publication, check it before sending. And just take care that there should not be plagiarism above 10%. Otherwise, these are the penalties which you are observing on the screen. If 10 to 40% plagiarism is there, you have to withdraw the manuscript. If it is between 40 to 60%, then you have to withdraw the manuscript. Your one increment may be bar. And if you are supervisor of PhD or MPhil or master degree, you will not allow to take this responsibility for 2 years. You cannot shoulder this responsibility for 2 years. And if it is above 60%, then 2 annual increment may be bar. And for 3 years, you cannot shoulder the responsibility of supervisor at PhD degree, as MPhil level or a master level. these are the penalties if it is some plagiarism is observed in research and publications. Now, University Grant Commission says that every institute must have that departmental academic integrity panel. Means every institute in every department in the institute, there should be departmental academic integrity panel. Now, the body is constituted at a departmental level to investigate if any complaint received to that department. So, who should be the member? Head of the department is ex officio member of the ex officio chairman of that particular DAIP, means Departmental Academic Integrity Panel. One senior most academic from outside the institution, outside department, to be nominated by the head of the HCI, means principal. That senior academician from outside department is nominated by the principal of the institution, or if it is from university, in that case, other vice chancellor will be nominated that person. And second member, who is well versed with anti-plagiarism software or tools, he will be the member of that particular thing and nominated by the head of the department, not head of the institute. It is head of the department. Means first of all, every institute have, or every department have its own departmental academic integrity panel. If suppose a complaint received that department, in that case, what is their responsibilities, their duties? Number one, while investigating the complaint, DIP means Departmental Academic Integrity Panel should follow the principle of natural justice. Number one. Number two, that committee has to assess the level of plagiarism. We already discussed about level of plagiarism, level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, like this. Level 0 means 10% plagiarism. Level 1 means 10 to 40% plagiarism. Level 2 is 40 to 60. Level 4 is above 60, like this. Means this particular member in this particular committee should assess this part, the level of plagiarism. And this DIP has to submit their report within the 45 days to the institute, to the concerned institute. Yes, these are responsibility of DIP. And there should be committee in each department that is suggested by, that is given by University Grant Commission. Now, there should be departmental committees and there should be institutional committees. That institutional committee is known as Institutional Academic Integrity Panel. And what are things means recommendation given by DIP, it will come in the Institutional Academic Integrity Panel. And this particular committee, Pro Vice Chancellor in the university, Dean in the institution or senior academician of HEI means Higher Education Institute. HEI means Higher Education Institute. Means Pro Vice Chancellor in case of university. But when we are talking about the institution or college, in that case, Dean of the college or senior academician of the college will be the ex officio chairman of this particular committee. Apart from that, so far as member is concerned, senior academician other than chairman to be nominated by the head of the HCI. Yes, that senior academician other than the head of department, he will be the member of that particular part. One member nominated by the head of HCI from outside the HCI. Means one senior academician within the institution, but he will not be the head of the department. Second member, one member nominated by the principal, but who is from the outside the institute, and one person nominated by principal, yes, who is well versed with the anti-plagiarism tools or plagiarism software. This is a committee. What is the responsibility? Their duty and responsibilities are IIP shall consider the recommendation of DIP. DAIP means Departmental Academic Integrity Panel he'll send their recommendations, their report, submit their report to the IAP. And recommendation given that report of DIP, IAP may consider it. Again, IAP has to investigate properly again regarding the plagiarism. Here also, IAP, while investigating the case, it is expected that IAP must follow the principle of natural justice. IAP shall have the power to review the recommendation of the DIP. Means recommendation received from DIP, IAP can also change it, review it, amend it. Yes. Then within 45 days, after receiving the report from DIP, within 45 days, IIP must submit their report to the principal in the institute or to the Honorary Vice Chancellor in the university. Means these are the, and one copy of report we have to submit to the person against whom inquiry is there. These are the duties and responsibilities of IIP. Why reasons of academic dishonesty? Why people interested in that particular part not aware of the source of information? When we are not aware about the source of information, in last session, Dr. Ali sir presented very nicely about open source journals, open access journals. Means such kind of sources we must know. If we are not aware about the source of information, from which source we can collect the required information, if we are not aware about that, automatically we will turn towards the plagiarism. Do not know how to conduct the literature search. We must know how to do literature search, how to search the literature. Everybody says that Google is sufficient. Google is sufficient to searching the literature. But one thing keep in mind, there is no authenticity regarding the information available on the Google. So you must know how to search the literature from other than Google. Or if you are searching on Google, you must know the searching techniques, because there are so many techniques. Boolean search technique is there. When in electronic department, we are using AND or NOT gate. This, you can apply this particular part in searching. It is very effective. It will be very effective in searching the literature. That part we must aware about it. Do not understand how to integrate source material into own argument. While writing the article on a particular subject, generally we collect the information, we collect the previous published articles on the same subject and try to read it. After reading all these 10 to 15 whatever articles are there, when we are reading it, after reading, we must have ability to understood it and try to write in our own language. If we are not able to write in our own language, in that case, automatically we are turned toward the copy and pasting for plagiarism. So this capacity we should have to develop. Lack of subject knowledge. When we are not confident about our subject, our knowledge regarding subject is very poor, then automatically we have to go for cutting and pasting. First of all, don't try to publish your article unnecessary. One article in a year is sufficient. Yes, that is. And what happened today? Everybody try to publish article more articles, publication for more articles, but it should not be happen. Yes, in that case, on the topic when we are writing the article, we should know that topic. We should know the knowledge of that particular topic. Do not understand how to write technical paper. That is the another reason for academic dishonesty. Lack of knowledge regarding the technical language, because writing technical paper and writing simple paper, they're different. When you are writing research paper, when we are talking about Scopus, we are talking about web of science, web of knowledge. When you have to send your paper in the journal which are included in Scopus database, in that case, we must know the technical language, how to write our paper in technical language. That part must be there. Lack of knowledge regarding the citation and its style. Generally, it is not observed in science and technology. So don't bother about it. Lack of confidence. We must be confident when we are selecting a topic for research. When we are selecting topic for writing a research paper, we must be confident about our topic, about our subject, about that particular area. These are the you can say reasons for why we are turned towards the plagiarism, and why it is we are turned towards academic dishonesty. Bans of academic dishonesty. What happened if suppose somebody complained against me, and if it is this complaint is proved? What will happen in my case? Number one, my reputation, personal reputation, I lost my personal reputation because I found guilty. Because I have plagiarized the matter, I found guilty. That means I am going to lose my personal reputation. Apart from that, because in article I write my name along with that particular institute name where I am working, that's why reputation of the institute also lost, and professional reputation of profession also lost. And number one is terrorism in subject knowledge. When you are cutting and pasting, no, when we are cutting the matter, when I am cutting the matter from somebody else, from somebody's article and pasting in my article, suppose I just collected 10 to 15 articles and cut from each article, I cut one paragraph. Like this, 15 articles I cut from different articles and paste in my article and send it for publication. What will happen? Suppose I have searched that article from Google and I have not tested the authenticity of that articles or authenticity of information published in the article. Without checking authenticity, I just take this matter in my article. Automatically, if suppose this particular information is not authentic, automatically it will come to my article or in my thesis. Now, what happened? One thing is that in higher education, only one class is there. That is PhD is only one class, which result is always 100%. Yes, nobody going to reject the thesis. Once you register for PhD, you will get a PhD. In that case, what happened? If in our thesis, suppose wrong information is included, even though we get awarded, this particular thesis we put in a library, and next new researcher, they consult your thesis and they feel that the PhD is awarded on that thesis. It means that the information given in that thesis is correct. Considering this correctivity, the new researcher use this information in their own thesis. Like this, in that chain, what will happen in that chain? The wrong information is disseminated through the thesis. It should not happen. It will happen that it is nothing but a terrorism in subject knowledge. That is a bench of academic dishonesty. Prevention: you have to use anti-plagiarism software before submitting your article or your thesis. But preventing the disease is better than treating it after it has spread. Don't spread it. Prevent it. For that, be a literate in respect of information. You must have information literate. What is information literate? That we should. When you have ability to recognize the need of information, when you have ability to recognize the need of information, then you can see yourself as a informed literate. When we are PG, when we are doctorate, it doesn't mean that we are information literate. Be informed literate. When you have become informed literate, that means that you have ability to recognize the need of information. What kind of information were needed to write our research paper? What kind of information needed to develop our thesis? This particular part we should know. That one part. Second, determine the extent of information needed. Up to what extent we need the information. Yes, if you have to write article, in that case you need not have more information. But if you have to write one full paper on that concept, you need more information on that concept, so that you must know up to what extent the information is needed. If you have that much ability, then you can say you are information literate. Access the needed information efficiently. Once you know that, you can identify that that kind of information I have needed, then I must know from where I can get that information. And from that source, how I can access that information. What are the techniques to accessing this information? In that case, you should be aware about that. Then what from the sources you are collecting that information, from the sources you are selecting that information, from the sources from where you are accessing that information, you must have ability to evaluate, proper evaluation of that source. Means when you are just accessing information from Google, then from that database, from that Google part, you must have ability to evaluate that source, whether it's correct or not, whether it is proper or not, whether that information is correct or not, whether that information is concerned with our need or not. All this kind of part we should be, we should aware about that. Incorporate selected information into the knowledge base. Once you have selected the information from various kind of sources, appropriate sources, or you can say authentic sources. Once you have collected this information from authentic sources, proper sources, now you must have ability to convert that part in your knowledge base. Only information is not sufficient. We have to convert it into the knowledge. When you have knowledge about that concept, you can automatically write the research paper. Don't be informative. Go for knowledge base. You should be a knowledgeable person. Use information effectively to accomplish their purpose. What is our purpose? What is the objectives of the research paper? Accordingly, considering the objectives, consider purpose of the writing, you must use that particular information. That ability we should have to develop. Understand the economic, legal, social, ethical, and cultural implication in the use of information. You must know whatever you are just going to publish, what will be the effect of that? The effect should be positive. If it is going to negative, don't publish it. You must have ability to understand what will the effect of our result. When we are publishing our article, what will be the impact of that article on our profession or our society? Yes, that should be understandable. You must have ability of that. You must aware about that. You must have ability to understand all these things, and then you will be the informed literate. Organize, collected, or generated information properly. For that, you must have what are the documents of your topic, consider your topic, consider your subject, source of the documents, how to search literature, how to search technically the information for search engine, how to take review of the literature, how you can develop abstract, what is the difference between abstract and summary. Yes, what is citations, what is citation style manual, how to use anti-blind software, and how to write technical paper. All these ability you must have. Then you can say you are informed literate. And when you are informed literate, you will not turn toward the plagiarism. You will not turn toward the academic dishonesty. That is the things. So that's why I'm saying that before submitting your thesis, please submit it to the knowledge center of the university and get it checked. And if it is below 10%, the similarity is below 10%, then only submit it to the university. Otherwise, don't submit it. That's my. I can just put my views before you like this. We in the library checking the plagiarism. You come to me. I will check it and give you the report. So it is a good like this. So that's why I say thanks to all. I must thanks to the organizer for giving me opportunity to put my views on this very burning topic, plagiarism or academic dishonesty or academic integrity in research and publications. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Hello.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
If participants have any query, please feel free to ask. Participants, I request you to unmute yourself and please ask the question.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Hello.
हाँ सर, वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग सर, दिस इज
Yes,
पंकज।
yes.
सर अभी आपने जो बताया पेनल्टी के बारे में 0 to 10%,
हाँ.
नो पेनल्टी, so that including or excluding the references on bibliography?
Yes, definitely. Means while you are checking the plagiarism, no, in that case we exclude that references in bibliography, all these things.
Okay, sir, and whatever the software you have shown for the plagiarism,
University and Commission, yes, University and Commission approved the anti-blind software that Urkud. Through Urkud,
Okay.
we are checking the plagiarism. Yes.
It is not open source, sir?
No. And my humble request is that don't go for open access, open source software. Because if you just check your thesis or article in open source software, what will happen? Your data will go in that particular database. And when we are checking through proper anti-blind software like Urkud, maybe your similarity you will find 100%.
No, sir. Actually, right now I'm in a government polytechnic, Ambad.
Yes.
So after writing a research paper,
yes.
So I have to go to the Urkund only, or directly to whom I am publishing my journals. That journalist, the editor, will not check the plagiarism.
In some cases, journal publisher check the plagiarism through their own anti-blind software.
Okay.
That one thing. But in some cases, such kind of facility is not with the journals, in reputed journals. In that case, you have to go through the Urkud. You are working in Ambad. That means your University of Aurangabad, I think.
No, sir, actually, I'm the MSBT board.
Achha. No, but in that case, you can contact to me also through mail. You can get it checked from our software also.
Okay, sir. Through Urkund only. Your software is
yes, Urkund. Because it is approved by University Grant Commission. That's why.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank
you. Okay, Mr. Syed, you can unmute yourself.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Hello.
Good
afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes. Audible.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sir, can you please advise any paraphrasing tools?
Paraphrasing, Porlin? Paraphrasing?
Yes, sir. Can you please advise some paraphrasing tools so that I may not be much rich in vocabulary, so that we can, without changing the syntax of the sentence, we can get the new sentence for the paraphrase.
Paraphrasing, you want to just see concept of paraphrasing, no? Concept paraphrasing?
Yes, sir.
And concept paraphrasing is nothing but it is when you are changing the structure of sentence, right? And without changing the words, or you change the words without changing the structure of sentence.
Without changing the meaning of that.
Yes. Naturally. That means when you are doing like this, yes, it means you are taking idea of that particular paragraph from somebody else. That's why it is a plagiarism. Yes. Means you are just putting this statement, this paragraph in your own language. But when you are using different words, you are using different sentence, no doubt. But you are using your ideas. That's why it comes under plagiarism. In that case, you have to give citation for that.
Okay. Yes. So in spite of this, giving the citation, also some tools are showing it as a plagiarism.
No. Like when you are giving citation, no, in that case, that's why I'm saying that you use standard anti-plagiarism softwares. In that case, we will not show.
Oh, thanks.
Yes. Any question? Yes. Okay. Hello. Hello.
Okay, sir. I think there are no more questions. So
yes, thank you.
I request Ms. Tale ma'am to present vote of thanks.
Yes. I, Professor Shruti Tale, present vote of thanks for today's session to Dr. M.R. Khede, sir. Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of STTP members and other faculty members of Department of Computer Science and Engineering, PRMIT and R Badnera. I'm taking this opportunity to thank Dr. M.R. Khede sir for sharing knowledge and expertise with us. It was very informative and interesting session, sir. I also want to thank all the participants for being attentive throughout the session. With the permission of head, I, Ms. Shruti Tale, declare that the today's session is over. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shruti madam. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Yes.